And one of the two would have been okay. Both could have worked. But they played it straight.
Yeah.
Roland Emmerich, Michael Bay right in the middle. And that's where they fail. Well, speaking of the characters, let's talk about the performances in the movie. You've got a lot of big-name actors. Oh, no, not again.
There's another break.
What does this one say?
You guys know nothing about comic books, so therefore you shouldn't review comic book movies. Please just stop. Oh, there's a PS.
Oh.
His name is Red Skull, not Red Skeleton, dumb fucks.
What the hell were those things?
Why are you asking me?
You've got my son, my wife.
I need their weapon. It's the only thing that counts.
I like the fact that these Old West people are just completely baffled about what's going on. And,
Yeah.
and just the little touches, like Harrison Ford, they show a spaceship, and they don't go, look out, it's their spaceship. He calls it a flying machine.
Yeah. Well, Jon Favreau is an actor's director, which I like. Going all the way back to Swingers, which he didn't direct, but he was the writer on it and a big part of the creative process. It's a very performance-driven movie. And there's a lot of improv, and that carries all the way over into Iron Man, which is this giant, multi-million-dollar movie, but the performance still have a very sort of improvisational quality to them. Do you remember the part where Jeff Bridges offers him pizza, and then he says, no, you can't have any pizza. No, you can have it. Like, it's just a little moment, and it only takes 2 seconds, and it doesn't add anything to the movie, but it's great.
Yeah.
And that carries over into this, where the movie just takes time to slow down and let the performers have their moments to shine.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
Can you hurry up? The game's starting.
Here we go.
Oh, no. Can you call? I don't want a bigger bundle. What are these fees? I don't want to sign another contract. I literally just wanted the game.
Enough is enough. T-Mobile is changing TV for good. Introducing T-Vision Live. Get live news and sports with no annual contracts, no exploding plans. Switch to T-Mobile now and get 4 lines of unlimited with T-Vision Live TV included. All for just $40 a line. Finally, TV done right.
Just have to work together.
What happens in the movie is the aliens are stealing gold, which of course is a very old Wild West kind of thing, which I thought was a clever touch.
Yeah.
But they're sucking the gold out of the ground, and I thought that was neat. Because gold is it's not just a precious element for people that love gold, but it's a rare element and it has certain properties to it that could be valuable to an alien.
Sure.
So I thought that was completely plausible and neat because the gold rush and the Wild West and all that. And I thought that was cool, but Harrison Ford's like, why are they stealing our gold? What, are they going to buy something with it?
Yeah.
Like he has no idea what's going on.
Yes.
And it's the part when...
What the hell is this?
Mr. Plinkett, what are you doing?
I just decided right now that for no good reason I would put out my priceless base.
Yeah, someone's been throwing bricks through the window all day. I don't think that's the best idea.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
What is up with the stand?
It's like the flimsiest stand I've ever seen.
It's like he knows that vase is going to break.
Yeah, it's like he's expecting it.
Anyways, back to the movie. So let's talk about special effects, because this is a science fiction movie. It is a blockbuster summer event movie. What'd you think about it?
I liked that the effects were used sparingly, and the action scenes themselves were used appropriately.
Yeah.
There wasn't too much of it. It didn't go on too long.
Right.
It was used just enough to service the story.
Yes.
And I appreciated that. And
Because a special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing.
who said that?
Walt Whitman?
Really? Huh.
No, I agree with you. I did not... I don't know if I even noticed CGI. And there's nothing wrong with CGI if used appropriately.
If used
and
appropriately.
blended in, and I think it was in this movie.
Should we step in? Looks like he's doing fine.
God
when I saw Transformers 3, when I saw the second half of Transformers 3, all I pictured in my brain was Michael Bay in a helicopter filming Chicago, filming shots of the street, and then someone painting in burning buildings and explosions, and then close-ups of people hiding behind rubble going, oh no, oh no. And all those elements of how you put a movie together were all very apparent to me. And it was all very, like, obvious to me. This movie just blended everything in well.
And just from a design level, because I'm a monster movie guy, I like creatures, I like creature effects, and this is the first Alien movie in a long time where I've actually liked the design of the creatures.
Yeah.
A lot of recent movies like Super 8 or like Cloverfield, it just feels like a big mess of like tentacles and vagina faces and things like that.
Yeah.
And I genuinely like look at these, and there's parts where there's close-ups of them where it almost looks like maybe it could have been a rubber puppet monster.
Yeah.
It maybe was.
Like
I don't know.
Monster.
But the fact that I'm not completely positive, like, oh, that's CG. Like, that's a testament to the movie.
They'll come back with more. There will be no survivors. It's what they did to my people.
I say good men do bad things, bad men do good things. You go get our people back.
There were a lot of fairly predictable little subplots woven into the film, you know, but it wasn't offensive. Like Harrison Ford's like, you know, here's a knife.
Oh, the
Sometime
knife thing,
in
yeah,
this movie you will use this. And
I think he
become a
actually
man.
said at some point later in this movie, you will
You
use
will
this
use
knife.
this, right. And the obvious, the barkeep character, who's played by Sam Rockwell, he cannot shoot a gun for shit.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of the movie, he shoots the gun perfectly and saves somebody.
Right.
So it's like, okay, later on he's going to hit something that's an impossibly hard to hit target.
But it's almost refreshing when something is set up early on in a movie where it does pay off.
Right. Speaking of the aliens and how they had a neat look, you know, wasn't horribly generic or anything. I really liked it, actually.
Me too.
There was a lot of cool, like, alien technology and horrifying alien things that happened in the movie that were very... It was almost like the movie was done intentionally that way through the eyes of a simpler man.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And like where they don't understand kind of what they're seeing, which was neat.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig has a lot of flashbacks about his experience being sucked up into the alien spaceship.
God damn it! What
And
the
it's
fuck
really,
just
really
happened?
well done, creepy, horrifying visuals.
Some of the stuff on the ship were, very creepy.
And you can't dismiss all that because of the movie's subject matter. It's actually a shame that they called the movies Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
When I think of cowboys and aliens, I think of like snakes on a plane, or just something really sort of stupid and simplistic.
Yeah.
And that's when I first heard about this movie. That's what I thought. Like, wow, that's almost audacious to call your movie, like, to make your movie that blatant in the title. But it's almost a too well-made movie for such a B-movie kind of schlock title.
Because I believe there is an old 1950s movie called like Cowboys versus Dinosaurs or something like
Valley of the Gwangi is about cowboys fighting dinosaurs.
Yes, where they're lassoing them.
That's Valley of the Gwangi.
And there is a scene in this movie where someone lassos a guy. Again, the title is sort of schlocky, which implies that it's going to be campy.
Right, which it isn't, which maybe is what is putting some people off.
It's exactly what I like, when a science fiction premise takes itself 100% serious. And I hate Will Smith, and I hate wisecracking in a science fiction movie. I just hate it.
Yeah.
I love it in a comedy. But when something horrifying happens, I love it when things are taken seriously. I believe I even said that in my interview with Sexy Nerd Girl.
You do a lot of reviews. What makes a good science fiction movie to you? Like, what do you look for when you watch it?
I look for believability. I don't like when a science fiction movie is too, like, goofy. I kind of like it when the characters are realistic and the events are realistic, and it's kind of like how science fiction events would occur in real life.
Yeah.
It may not be action and explosion a minute. It may take a long time to set up the characters. It may move slowly. but in the end, it's satisfying. And that's just what I wanted. This movie was a cinematic bowel movement for me. It was, wasn't it? After months and months and months of horrifying constipation.
All right.
Because I really hate movies where it's like so completely by the numbers. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, now we have to wait for the hero to fight the bad guy on the roof. Like, the bad guy can't just accidentally fall off the roof and die.
Yes.
And go, oh, or the bad guy gets killed by a random security guard. And the hero goes, oh.
Or the Red Skull gets killed by Captain America just sort of punching him, and
The Red
thing
Skull has an unrelated aneurysm. And dies. It has to be like, and you're waiting for it. Come on, get to the part with, and it's like, and this movie had that in a very mild way, to where it was very unoffensive. And there was lots of little things that didn't offend me that should have, but didn't.
Well, that's because it was surrounded by other elements.
Fucking suck
It wasn't
fuck.
like that was the focal point of the ending. Was just Daniel Craig fights that one alien. There was other things happening.
Yeah.
There's multiple plot lines that were coming to a head.
Yeah, and I think that's why people are not responding to this movie positively, or are completely positively, is because all those elements that are so bred into our brains at this point are very toned down or not overdone, and people are just used to that at this point. And it's
You got the whole of the world in your hands. You got
Half in the bag. The devil is my hairdo.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Half in the Bag. I'm Jay.
And I'm Mike, and this week we saw Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Our therapy enables the brain to repair itself. We call it the cure. I want you to start testing on chimps ASAP.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes is a prequel to the successful Planet of the Apes series. This film stars James Franco and the CGI monkey. So, Jay, what did you think of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, or Ratpota, as it will soon be called?
Yes, yes. Well, I guess the big question is, does the world really need a Planet of the Apes prequel?
No.
The answer, of course, is no, but the world now has a prequel to Planet of the Apes, and it's really damn good. So good it justifies its pointless existence.
Wow. You're going with the really damn good. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the film. It took a lot to warm me up to it, but when I was warmed up to it, I enjoyed it. I was very impressed with the movie. Primarily the fact that they were able to make a coherent story using leftover footage of James Franco's other films.
It really was impressive how it took different scenes and different shots from his previous movies and edited it in a way where you almost believe he's interacting with these creatures.
Right. You almost believe he was there filming in this movie.
They're not people, you know.
It's impressive with this movie how the human characters are the least sympathetic and the least human in the movie, and everything with the apes I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
It did a great job of getting you emotionally invested in these completely animated monkeys.
Yeah, well, you do become emotionally invested towards the end. For me, and probably for most audiences, it takes a while to warm up to it. I absolutely hated the first 15-20 minutes of the movie. I hate science movies when it felt like a trailer. Like it's like, I've discovered the chemical. Nope, we've got to get that chemical on the market in 5 minutes. It's so simplistic. Like, have you ever seen the movie called Splice?
Yes.
You have. I like that movie. I like the premise. I like the character conflicts and all the drama in that movie. But the science scenes I just hated. I hated the fact that they had to be like cool rock star scientists with their leather jackets, and they're like, yeah, we're hip, we're scientists. And it's like, you have this giant monitor, and it's like, DNA, 100% match.
Well, that's like in a lot of 80s movies, whenever anyone's using a computer, all they do is sort of mash their fingers on the keys and things happen on the screen. It makes no sense.
And I completely understand the need to simplify down those elements to tell the story. Like,
sure.
You know, but I was like, oh God, you know, are they really bringing the ape up to the boardroom with all the investors there? But,
that didn't bother me so much in this movie because that's not really the focus of the movie. It's more about the ape and what happens to him afterwards. Once I didn't love the first part, but where the movie really kicked off for me was when the Caesar character was getting older, learning things, and he really does have quite an arc throughout the course of the movie.
This one. All the human parts seem to just stick out.
Yeah.
Like
well, especially as the movie goes along.
Yeah,
and it focuses more and more on the apes, and then it'll cut back to the humans, and you're like, I don't care about any of these people.
Yeah.
Like, get back to the apes.
Well,
they're great.
I think that's what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they casted James Franco. It was because he's such a non-presence.
Especially in this movie, he's just like a blank slate.
Yeah, well, he's got that dumb look on his face all the time, and he always looks like he's stoned.
Yeah.
This is wrong, Will.
Yeah?
It works.
He can be good. He can be good in the right parts. I recently
Well,
saw
just,
127 hours.
It was just a collection.
Really good. It's not a very good movie. He's really good. But this is one of those. I don't know if it's like just him as like actor for hire.
No,
sort of a weird
I mean, I ate all those potatoes earlier, so I already had my fair share.
I was very happy to see a beautiful Indian woman in the lead romantic interest role. You don't see a lot of like Indian women in lead roles in Hollywood movies. I was expecting like some dumb bimbo to be in there.
Kate Bosworth.
Kate
Is
Bosworth.
that an actress?
Yeah, and she was great. I mean, her character wasn't.
There was no character.
That was kind of shocking. Was like it's like he takes the monkey to a vet, and I'm like, oh, it's the vet character.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he wants me to take you out to dinner, and then it's like, oh, does he know her previously? And then the next scene, they're dating.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, it's not like Captain America where the relationship stuff is brushed over, but that's a major part of the movie.
Yeah.
And it was so early on that doesn't really affect the story. But then again, neither does anything with the girlfriend character.
I don't know. I just thought that was unique. And same with the boss at the Genesis was a black guy with an English accent. He was the money grubbing CEO. It wasn't a bald white man.
Yes.
I don't care about anything but profits.
But he was kind of the villain character. And I thought that was unique. It wasn't typical.
Yeah.
Same with the choice of the female lead. I thought it was weird to have John Lithgow in there.
You look at him and he's instantly funny.
It's just John Lithgow's face. I think they picked him because John Lithgow looks like Droopy, the dog.
He does.
He has like a sympathetic face. He doesn't like you don't cast Anthony Hopkins in that role.
Right.
Anthony Hopkins looks like a mean motherfucker. And you don't cast him in the sympathetic. Oh, I have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Where's my brain?
Because you're like, that's Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Terrence Stamp or someone else like that who just looks mean.
Yeah.
You cast John Lithgow.
Jonathan Lipnicki.
You cast John Lithgow, who looks like a sympathetic old guy, but at the same time, you're like, he's funny.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where he thinks he's getting into his car, and he's smashing it, and all I did was replace the music in my brain, and it was a doop 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 doop. Hey, that's my car. Oh no! And I was just giggling to myself.
Yeah. This movie, I really did like it a lot, but it does have a lot of really unintentionally funny things in it.
Yes, the neighbor character.
The poor neighbor character, I think he's supposed to be a dick in the movie, but every time you see him in the movie, he's just, something horrible happens to him.
He was just trying to protect his children from a wild gorilla.
I know, I just felt bad, like I picture him like, it's a living nightmare living next to you, James Franco. So there is a tremendous amount of CGI in the movie. The apes are completely CGI through the whole thing. What did you think about the effects in the film?
Well, at first, I thought, oh no, it's this. And after a while, it really grows on you. And there are parts where the apes don't look completely realistic, but you can't just. I've seen some comments go, those CGI apes are terrible, and they just like disregard everything, like all that hard work, all that, and it's like, it's really good.
Well, my concern before seeing the movie is actually similar to a concern I had before Lord of the Rings came out, which was, before that movie came out, I heard that they were taking regular actors and digitally shrinking them to play hobbits. And I was like, that's lame. Just cast a bunch of midgets. It worked so well in Willow. But then I saw the movie, and of course I had to eat my words on that. It was similar to this, where I heard that there was CG apes the whole movie. They're never realistic, and I was like, oh, come on. Just cast real apes and do some digital trickery for certain things if you need to. But when you see the movie, I think it works better having them CG through the whole thing because you get accustomed to it. And it would be like in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie, whenever you see Peter Parker and just him in his outfit, and then he jumps off a building and it immediately cuts to CG Peter Parker. And it is completely jarring and takes you out of the scene. And had they done that with this cutting back and forth, I don't think it would have worked. It's very seamless, and after a while you just start to accept it. And you don't even really think about it as effects anymore.
You can complain about CGI all you want, but this is a movie where it works to the movie's advantage completely.
Well, and there's a lot of movies where the CGI work and it just feels like, work for hire, where it's just slapped in effects. This is one where you can really tell that there was a deliberate attempt made to really sort of push the technology forward in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. Unlike Lucas's prequel films, where he's pushing technology to be more lazy.
Yes.
We can just put all fake backgrounds everywhere. I'm changing the face of cinema, like I did in the 70s. And you're like, oh no. With any movie, you can take a movie from the past that has just terrible special effects, dated special effects. But if you care about the characters and what's going on, then that can go away. And we're talking about being adjusted to really good special effects. The whole middle section of the movie is all apes. It's the character Caesar in the ape prison, slowly working his escape plan and slowly becoming smarter and all that. It's really well done, and it's But it's like, and then we cut back to James Franco. He's like, want to come back home with me, Caesar? And it's like, why would he want that? Who are you? Why are you in this movie? What's going on? I don't care about you.
None of the humans are particularly good or memorable in this. They all get upstaged by the apes, which I know the apes are the stars, but...
Well, when the movie opens, they show a poaching scene, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Humans are bad.
You're worried about
apes are going to destroy the world. But it becomes very different. The story becomes much different than that. And I really was expecting apes to start just slaughtering people by the dozen, at the end of the movie, and everyone going, yay! Get those bad humans.
Well, on the other end of that,
completely not bad.
Yeah, I was also expecting there to be more cruelty towards the apes than there was. There is some, but it's mild. And I was really expecting them to push that way too far. But it handled that without getting too manipulative.
I do feel like a fool talking about these movies as them being like smart entertainment, because this isn't. I mean, there's a lot of movies out there that are so much smarter. I just wanted to point this out to the audience. This is in context of summer movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Not in context of movies, because I pointed out that Cowboys and Aliens was a cinematic ball movie. I specifically meant in context of summer movies. And this movie, we're talking about apes running at humans and how it's done tastefully. And we're just in this mindset of summer movies being horribly stupid. And I've seen a lot of them.
Well, there's an inherent silliness to the entire Planet of the Apes idea. All these movies. Like, I always think, when I think of the first movie, I think of, like, only in the 60s. Only in the 60s would they make a movie like that seriously, where I'm picturing them like, what would be crazy, man? If, like, apes ran the world and we were kept in cages? You just blew my mind. It says so much about, like, society
and stuff
and politics and stuff. Like, but the movies play completely straight, and those movies have sort of a campy quality to them now.
Definitely.
And this movie does have a lot of unintentionally funny stuff with the apes, but the fact that the ape characters are sympathetic and well drawn sort of balances it out a bit.
It's believable enough for what it is. It's a well done of a movie as you'll get with that subject matter.
Yeah. Well, also science fiction related, we recently attended Sci-Fan Con, which is a convention in Chicago, Illinois. It's the second year they've done it, and it's dedicated to science fiction, steampunk, comic books, cosplay, steampunk, Star Wars, Star Trek, steampunk, and steampunk.
Oh, don't forget steampunk.
Oh, yeah. They also had steampunk there.
Can you hurry up? The game's starting.
Here we go.
Oh, no. Can you call? I...
Half in the back. Fuck movies.
So, Jay, how's your sex life?
Oh, you know, I finally got around to trying one of those fleshlights. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
Oh, thank God. Yes, come in, please.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, it's Alexander Philippe, the director of People versus George Lucas.
Yeah, so, my car broke down, and I was just wondering if maybe I could, like, use your phone.
Sure. It'll be $1.
Hey everyone, welcome to Half in the Bag, and we are joined this time by Alexander Philippe, director of The People versus George Lucas.
That's right, Jay. Alexander's going to hang out with us for a bit and talk about movies and stuff while he waits for a tow truck to pick up his broken down hoopty.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, strangely enough, I was driving from Milwaukee, and I didn't even know you guys were here. It's crazy.
It's a weird coincidence.
Yeah, really.
What should we talk about? Politics, art.
Can we talk about scarves?
Oh, scarves.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The proper application of scarves.
Yeah, I just watched an amazing video about it.
When a woman wears a scarf, she's telling the world, I'm confident, sophisticated, practical, sensational.
We can talk about the proper way to
That sounds like fun.
fold
Yeah, I mean,
scarves.
for anything. Or we could talk about Star Wars, too, you know?
It's the what?
We could talk about Star Wars.
There is something about our love for Star Wars that is different from our love for other things.
Star Wars is not there! It's funny that this can make people angry, but it does make you angry.
Don't you ever say it's just a film. It's not just a film.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the movie?
Well, the movie is really, in a nutshell, about a dysfunctional relationship between George Lucas and his fans over the past, 30 years.
So what was your, motivation or inspiration for wanting to make this film?
Well, I grew up very much as a Star Wars fan. I was actually raised in Switzerland, in Geneva, and my first actually theatrical experience was The Empire Strikes Back.
When we're in retirement homes arguing about things, we'll be having the conversation about what went wrong with The Phantom Menace.
If he wants to fix something, go back and redo Howard the Duck.
I saw George Lucas, I'd give him a big hug and say thank you.
I hate even saying things like I just said because it sounds like I'm being mean to Lucas, and I love him.
A lot of people think the film is kind of like a George Lucas bashing movie because it's called The People versus George Lucas.
Sure.
They don't see it as you present it sort of as like a legal case, sort of just both sides of an issue.
Yeah, and I think, that was definitely one of the issues that we faced, especially early on when people had not even obviously seen our film, is that, they just wouldn't go beyond the title. It's just not, it's obviously not that, it was really our intent to make a very, very balanced, very objective debate around the issue and kind of look at it as what it is, which is a very sort of unique cultural dynamic, between a creator and his fans. And so, yeah, there's a lot of hate or frustration from the fans that is being, displayed, I guess, in the film, but also a lot of love and affection and admiration towards George.
Yeah, it's not a movie that's just like bogged down in Star Wars, details, and it's a bigger, broader movie. It's a very funny movie. It's very fast-paced, very entertaining, and it's certainly a movie like Star Wars fans will obviously be very involved in. But it's a movie that you don't have to have seen Star Wars to enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've had a lot of actually non-fans or even people who have not seen Star Wars, come up to me after the film and say how much they really enjoyed it. The thing, though, about the Star Wars fans is I can tell you that literally every screening that I've attended, I have at least one fan coming up to me and say, thanks for this film, it felt like therapy.
I mean, how can you not feel bad? Have people who love you and worship you as a god turn against you as if you're some sort of fallen angel.
Has he fulfilled his destiny or has he destroyed his legacy?
I think when you get specialists who are absolute devotees, you're wide open to criticism.
The movie's also about, it deals with issues about, the ownership of the movies and the ownership. Does he have the right to make all these changes, or do the movies belong to the fans?
Yeah, I think that's really the larger sort of question that is posed by the movie is who does Star Wars belong to, and of course then it goes beyond Star Wars. It's not just about Star Wars, but it's about in our day and age, I mean, especially with the internet and YouTube and all that stuff, when something becomes as popular and as really important to culture as Star Wars does. It's a really fine line. Legally, it's clear. Of course, it belongs to George Lucas, but there's a moral obligation. There's I think. I mean, the fact that it's been inducted into the National Film Registry at the Library of Congress. I mean, that in itself, I think, means something. It means that it belongs to all of us. It belongs to culture.
Well, a lot of people now are pointing out the 1988 George Lucas speech to Congress when he was, defending the rights not to change or alter motion pictures.
Yeah. And he's talking specifically about colorizing, right? Wasn't that a big issue?
Yeah,
but his statement was broader than that. I mean, it's really about making sure that first of all, that the director's intent remains what it was.
Well, that's the question, though, is I think all that started when Ted Turner was colorizing old movies.
Absolutely.
And I assume he had the rights to those movies, or he bought up the rights to them.
But they're not his movies. He didn't direct them.
Right.
He's not the creator of them.
Exactly. Unquestionably, Lucas owns all the Star Wars movies, but Richard Marquand and
Irvin
Kershner are the directors, and of course both of those men are now dead. And even though Lucas owns the rights to the movies, or owns the movies outright, it was their artistic vision. So does he have the right to do that? Legally, yes, but artistically?
It's very questionable. I mean, it seems like George Lucas is doing the very thing that
Motherfucker, Jesus, shit, fuck this, fuck.
So it's a really sticky issue. But again, then you go back to this notion of I think it's okay for George to keep changing the movie every time, as long as he preserves those films that affected us so much in the first place.
That's the sticking point for a lot of people, is that he's holding those back.
Yeah, it's not too much to ask. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, every classic film, I think, deserves that much.
Yeah.
And the one classic film that we don't have is Star Wars. I mean, makes no sense.
Well, we have some copies of Star Wars.
On VHS.
That's funny you bring that up.
But check this out. Yeah, this is cool stuff, actually.
This is something I purchased in 1995. Little did I know that it would become, the only existing copy of Star Wars. But yeah, these are the original versions, widescreen, before they were special editions. And George Lucas even makes a veiled threat on the back, where he says,
he calls it the final video release.
The final video release in its original
version.
Yeah.
That's 1995. That's I had never seen that box before. That's pretty special stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, these are the laser discs. We're missing Jedi, of course. But, these, however, are not anamorphic.
No, they're 4x3 letterboxed, which is what he ported over for one of the DVD releases as a bonus feature. The original movie is a bonus feature.
Basically.
That's so bizarre to me.
Well, yeah, that's the end of that.
Well, which artwork do you think is better? This is the Laserdisc version. This or the...
How can you not love that? That's great stuff.
Well, I mean, this is clearly better.
Yeah. That one's clearly better is what you mean, right? Because you look at it and you're like, that's the guy from Star Wars.
Yeah. I recognize that.
Yeah. There's too much shit happening everywhere.
George Lucas let one of his daughters play with Photoshop.
Aww.
Well, it's interesting how the artwork has just evolved over time.
Yeah, well, it's even worse now with the Blu-ray box set, where the entire focus, what they decided to encapsulate the entire Star Wars saga is Jake Lloyd. And then speaking of the Blu-rays, of course, that's the big controversy going around now is more changes, more pointless changes.
It's like you expected.
Yeah, at this point, it's when the No came out, when there was clips leaked online that was going to be on there, I thought it could be phony, but I also wouldn't have doubted if it was real. Like, I can see that.
Lucasfilm came forward right away and said, no, we actually did that.
I thought it was funny, too, that they released a press statement that's just like, yep, we did that now.
Right.
And we're not ashamed of it.
We're not ashamed of it.
They have to release a press statement saying that something's real.
At this stage, I kind of feel like everything that happens is part of a game.
Well, I mean, that's the question with Lucas. I mean, Rich Evans was saying, like, when the special editions came out in theaters, it was like, hey, neat. The advertisement for Star Wars was, for years, have been used to seeing Star Wars like this. And it shows a little TV screen that goes, now see it like this. Wow! And it's like, with newly added special effects, it's like, okay, cool.
You know, like, that's just a little add-on for fun.
It was, it's okay, it's on the big screen now. They've enhanced some things, and blah, blah, blah. But now it's gotten to the point where George Lucas kind of seems like an obsessive-compulsive disorder crazy person.
Yeah.
Where nothing can be... can't ever be perfect. Can't ever be perfect.
Like fixing.
I think it could be that, or I think at this stage, I'm not ruling out the possibility that he's just really toying with his fans. Because I mean, if you really look at the changes that he's making, I mean, first of all, they're really minute changes, but they are fairly nonsensical. You know, I mean, they really don't improve the movie. I mean, in any sort of substantial way. In fact, I think we can really make an argument that they just keep making them worse.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff comes off like little things that may have always bothered him. Like a person with a perfectly clean house, like seeing just a spot and going, trying to get it out, like the Ewok's eyes blinking. That may have bugged him.
Yeah, but if that's true, then why didn't he do it 10 years ago? You know what I mean? Or 5 years ago? Or I mean, it's just like it's always going to be something. I mean, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
When the Star Wars 3D 3D comes out, it's going to happen again.
From a Lucas perspective, I would assume it's a cost thing. I would always look at the money. Always look at the bottom line. Perhaps all those things did bother him at the time, but having massive amounts of changes would have cost X amount of dollars. So he's spacing it out over years and years and years. It's some sort of gigantic plan of some kind. But
I don't know. I don't know that.
While fixing the Ewoks blinking or some sort of technical thing, he seems to make changes to the movies where he completely doesn't understand the character. That scene with Jabba was a totally different Jabba.
Han, my boy, I'm only doing this because you're the best and because I need you.
And then putting the CGI Jabba, saying those things, and then seeing him in Jedi, it's like two completely different characters.
You think I had a choice?
Well, then it's also things where he'll change it and then change it back, like in Empire when...
Oh, that's the worst.
In Empire, for the special edition, Luke finds out Vader's his father, he jumps down, and for the special edition, they added him going, which completely changed, like...
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was just in the theater version only.
And then the DVD, well, it was on the VHS special editions too, I believe.
Oh, was
But then when they re-released it on DVD, he took that out. So it's not just that he's making changes that he thinks will improve the movie, he's changing his mind, going back and changing the changes.
Well, same with Han Solo Greedo, right? I mean,
every time he releases it, that's different.
I mean, the last time they were actually kind of shooting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So...
But the Luke thing, it's like... I could see him thinking, going, oh, he's falling and he's not making any noise, that's weird. But the whole point of the scene was that Luke, he's the rebel, he's the ultimate rebel, and he just says no, Vader's like, join me or die. He's like, you know what,
I'd rather die.
I'm done, I'd rather die. And it was sort of like a self-sacrifice. It was like a suicidal kind of thing, just like, okay, I'm just going to give up. And then they cut to him, he goes, It just shows that he doesn't know what's happening in the scene. Or with the characters.
Well, doesn't care what's really happening in the scene.
Right. Yeah.
When he's thinking about that specific bit, but not in the context of the overall movie.
So what you're saying is George Lucas has a limited mental focus, a limited intelligence.
This beer is good.
Oh. It's like the Job of the Hutt Palace scene, where he changed the musical number to like this upbeat kind of like pop rock song.
And now you're really hitting my buttons, right?
Jabba's Palace is a dingy, dark, depressing place, and you can't have like yummy do. It is.
But you know the thing that really bugs me about this particular scene is, you know, they spent, I think, reportedly like $1 million to create that little, you know, Jedi rocks scene. But the thing that bugs me, if you look at it, is the very first shot of it, right before the song starts. You see Size Noodles in the background, and it's the real Size Noodles that we've seen, you know, as kids. And she has the feather, and then you cut away, and then the song starts, and you cut to her, and she enters, and it's the CGI Size Noodles without a feather. And I'm like, so there's, you know, you spend $1 million,
all that money,
right? All that money on that scene, and you don't even, like, this glaring continuity mistake. It doesn't matter.
But they did have the little guy, and you screamed into the camera, and then you saw
his tonsils.
His tonsils. That was amazing. Well, George Lucas has always said, I mean, he's admitted he's not a very good director, right? Why did he feel the need to write and direct all 3 of the prequel films? This kind of goes into the subject of what's wrong with his brain.
Well, although, I mean, I think if you look at, you know, I mean, you look at Graffiti and THX and stuff, I mean, the original Star Wars, I thought they were pretty well-directed films, you know?
They're well-edited films.
Yes, they're well-edited films.
I think,
but...
Well, there's a lot of talk about Star Wars and how it was sort of saved and edited and everything they changed, but you do look at something like American Graffiti and THX 1138, and those are both really well-made movies.
I think so. I mean, I think there's real talent in George.
I think there was.
I'm going to side with him there. I think there's real talent. Where has that talent gone? That's a whole other question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I recently watched THX 1138 for the first time. I had seen his student film, version of that when I was in college, and I don't know. I was not horribly impressed. I think he had a lot of good talent, actor-wise, and those performances in THX were really great, but. And I don't know, I just wasn't impressed. And I did not like American Graffiti.
Well, there you go.
I was just horribly bored
Man.
with American Graffiti, and it felt very flat and very, like, didn't have, like, character to it. It just felt like a George Lucas directed film. Like people say the original cut of Star Wars was very, like not paced out well.
Yeah.
It didn't have a lot of, like, oomph to it. And then those guys went and edited it. They're like, yes, okay, we have to make these scenes work. We have to. So I propose he's a fraud from the get-go.
From the very beginning, you know?
The luckiest man in show business other than Ringo Starr.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with you. I mean, I'll agree on Ringo Starr, yes, but not on George Lucas. But I mean, George, I think has a certain. Obviously, he has a genius for creating stuff that is going to resonate like massively in culture. I mean, it's not just Star Wars. I mean, he's done it, you know.
Like Howard the Duck.
Well, there's Indiana Jones. I mean, come on, you know, it's like it's something.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't know. What would be a third thing?
I mean, do we need a third thing though?
Yes, scientifically. 2 times is a coincidence. 3 times equals a pattern. So, you know, old sci-fi serials like Flash Gordon and stuff. Hey, let's do that. Oh, how about old adventure serials? And then after that, there was nothing for 25 years.
I can. Well, sure, but I can. I think the third though, even though it's not as evident now.
Radioland Murders?
No, it's Graffiti. American Graffiti resonated big time when. I mean, it really shocked the studios.
Sure. Well, that was at a certain point in history when the studio system was dying, and younger filmmakers were coming up. But in hindsight, that movie isn't like still a cultural phenomenon like Star Wars and Indiana Jones are. It's sort of like, that was George Lucas' first movie.
Sure.
And we give it respect for what it was.
But where I was going with this is that I think he obviously creates those amazing things. But also, I think he fails to understand what it is about those that we like so much.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll all agree that George Lucas is a very good idea man. But, but the big question is then, by 1999, did he not realize that that was his thing? Being a producer, executive producer, controller, as opposed to an artist.
Well, he's acknowledged that, though, that he's not a good writer, that he's not a good director, so why, unless there's that tick in his brain, like, I want to be known for this, I created Star Wars, I'm going to make these movies, even though he's aware of the fact that he's not a very talented writer.
Well, I mean, obviously there's a desire to prove himself, I think. Obviously there's a love of movies, of making films.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that like a desire to prove to himself that he's making films of value? I don't know.
Well, that's the big question. Was him wanting to write and direct and completely control the new prequel films some sort of narcissistic egomaniac, kind of like, I'm the guy that did these.
I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's like when Star Wars became, Star Wars, right? And you wake up, right? I mean, I can only imagine you're George Lucas, you wake up, and basically you're like, oh, I'm the father, I'm the creator of this thing, right? That's become so huge. I mean, isn't there like a sense of responsibility? Isn't there a sense of responsibility at some point where you just feel like you're the one who has to just continue this?
Well, he does talk about it sometimes like it's a burden at this point.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, once I'm done with these Star Wars movies, I'll make my personal films. But he's never going to be done with Star Wars.
George has said many times to me and to many other people that Star Wars was a bit of a curse.
He had a pile of scripts that he would show me. He would never let me read them. He would say, these are the movies I'm going to make. None of those movies have been made.
I mean, maybe he wanted to give it to somebody else, but just felt like he couldn't. Like he had to do it. I don't know.
Unless it affected him psychologically in a certain way where for 20 years, everyone kissed his ass and said, you're the greatest, George. You created Star Wars. You created Star Wars. When secretly, deep down inside, he knows he didn't do all that much. He started the ball rolling, and the actors made it work, the editors made it work, the art department, made it work. And he had the ideas, and then they're like, you created everything, and then over time, that sort of started to eat away at him to where he felt he had to prove something. I mean, I think the prequels do kind of prove that his ultimate decision-making process is horribly
fucking suck a fuck.
Well, it's maybe gotten worse, too, over the years, between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
But, he's a different guy. I mean, so much time passed. And now you're this billionaire, and you can do everything you want, and your original team is gone. And his mind is not in the same place. In the same place.
Yeah, he's a different person, sure, as you grow older, I guess.
Yeah.
And he probably looks at things more from the perspective of selling stuff and kids and how, and Star Wars, the original Star Wars, is a pretty gritty film in comparison to, just all the death and violence and murder, betrayal, and they blow up a whole planet of people.
They do.
Darth Vader chokes people. Han Solo murders someone. Luke's family gets burned alive.
I know.
A gritty space movie, and then everything else is sort of cartoony crap. So
What are you talking about? Revenge of the Sith is dark.
Oh, right, it is. Yeah, I guess it is. Sure.
There's a lot of pressure on George Lucas to make these because they're business ventures.
I don't know what I would do if I met George Lucas in the street. If I'd want to shake his hand or hit him in the stomach.
Can you be that mad at a man who made Star Wars? A man made Star Wars.
So, People versus George Lucas. To give some background, we began talking with you 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, at least I would say almost 4. Well, probably 3.5.
Yeah, we made a short film called the United States of No.
Yes.
Check it out.
Which featured myself and Rich Evans in a mock-up scene depicting the final scene in Episode 3. And you were collecting kind of fan footage and homemade movies and stuff like that for the documentary. So it features a lot of internet shorts
Yeah.
and homemade, fan-made
A
stuff.
ton.
How long?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you guys smell something?
Yeah, you mean like cat piss and Bengay?
No, it's like flannel and BO.
Yeah, flannel shirt.
Weird.
Yeah, maybe.
Well. Anyway, a question I think a lot of people have in regards to the movie is, has George Lucas seen it?
Well, I certainly have not seen him in the audience yet. Now the DVD is obviously going to be released pretty soon, and people are going to get a chance to see it, and that includes George. If he wants to. I've always said, I'd be more than happy to give him a private screening at the ranch or, wherever. I really don't think he's going to give me a call, but I do hope he gets to see it. I hope he's at least a little bit curious about it, and I hope he watches it from beginning to end because, hopefully he'll realize it's actually a very, it's a loving film.
George Lucas raped our childhood. George Lucas raped our childhood. George Lucas raped our childhood.
جورج لوكاس هو شيطان صغير جاء في ثوب ملك.
Well, speaking of screenings, it seems like you had sort of a long screening process, festival process.
Oh, God. Yeah.
How long has the movie's coming out on DVD soon? But how long was it of going to festivals and
No.
screening it?
It's still happening. It's still happening.
It's still being
It's
screened places.
still happening.
Wow.
It was amazing. Like right at the time of our South by Southwest premiere, we got, invitations every day.
When was that premiere?
That was March 2010.
Okay.
So we're talking like a year and a half ago, And so it was a combination of, big international fests, documentary film festivals, and then genre film festivals. And we went with the Chicago Comic-Con. We eventually decided not to go with screenings at San Diego or other cons. We were panels.
Chicago.
Yeah, we were at that one.
Yeah.
You had your 1138 bracelet.
I did. Yes. That was
The
interesting.
1138 bracelet?
While sitting there during the Q&A after the movie, I looked down at the Wizard World bracelet, and the ID number was 1138.
Oh, really?
And I was like, that's weird.
Coincidence.
Wow. Yeah. Well, in addition to the festivals and a couple of the screenings, there's a theatrical run of.
Yeah. It was, it was selected cities essentially. I think there was Los Angeles, of course, New York, Denver, and there was Chicago. I think obviously you guys were there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We actually attended the Chicago screening of the movie, and we brought along our trusty video camera.
Hi, everybody. We're here for the Chicago premiere of The People vs. George Lucas. Behind me is the famous Chicago Theater. The movie's not playing in there, but it's behind me. The movie's actually playing across the street at the Gene Siskel Film Center. Let's go inside and check it out. Here at the Gene Siskel Film Center, they have a great collection of photographs of some of the legends of the silver screen. Here we have Judy Garland, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, James Dean, the man himself, Alfred Hitchcock, legend, true legendary director, Marilyn Monroe. That's Gary Cooper. There's Greta Garbo and Jar Jar Binks, a true legend of the silver screen. Why is that in this collection?
Alexander's a huge Star Wars fan. He's a collector. He wanted to create a film that he could sit on a couch next to George Lucas and watch it with him and feel proud of what he put out there. And I think he accomplished that.
Oh.
So, you guys just saw The People versus George Lucas. What'd you think?
It was pretty good. I really got to know the man. I feel confident I could spot him should he ever show up anywhere.
Oh, yeah. He's very obvious, you know. He sticks out like a sore thumb in a public setting, really. What'd you think about the movie?
Well, I thought it was quite a lot of fun.
If you could make a special edition of George Lucas himself, what would you change?
He would shoot first. He would definitely shoot first.
Continued in part 2.
Half in the bag. Get out of my car and into my dreams.
Oh, fuck my life. Oh, what happened? No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
What? Oh, fuck. What is this? How did this get on my head?
What the fuck happened here last night?
God damn it.
There was a bunch of weird